Welcome to Behind the Lens. Today, you all know him, a writer, playwright, everything he's done in his career, a producer, and now director, Aaron Sorkin. Wow, first-time director.
Yeah, and it's great to be here, by the way. Yes, first-time director.
Wow. I'm curious, so I'll just start out with the million-dollar question. You've done all of this stuff, all of these television series, all of these movies, all of these plays, everything. Never has directed. I looked up on Wikipedia and it says check off, you know, writer, producer, whatever. It's all check, 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 and then director. No, 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 no.
Right. Well, you know, I love working with great directors, and I've had a chance to work with some of the very best: Mike Nichols, David Fincher, Bennett Miller, Danny Boyle.
Yeah.
On my last movie, and I really enjoy that collaboration. When I write something, I want the best director for that movie to direct it. In this particular case, I felt, and the producers felt, that I was the best person to direct it. You know, the movie Molly's Game, there's kind of a natural gravitational pull in Molly's Game toward the shiny objects in the story. The poker and the glamour and the decadence and the money and the Hollywood bold-faced names, and the story I wanted to tell and the screenplay that I wrote is set against the backdrop of those things. It's a much deeper, much more emotional story, and I just wanted to see it all the way through and protect those elements.
Yeah. There was never a moment when you were doing West Wing or Sports Night or any of, where you said, like, let me just do one episode or something?
There wasn't, because on the West Wing, first of all, Thomas Schlamme, my partner on the show and the principal director of the show, if you have Tommy or Alex Graves or Chris Misiano or Leslie Glatter, you want them to direct the show. There was also a logistical problem, which is that I wrote all the episodes, so if I directed one, I wouldn't be able to write the next one. But no, I didn't. Especially, you know, when you're a showrunner in television, you have exactly as much influence as I want to exert over the thing.
That's interesting. Well, I would say you're probably the most prepared person to take on a directorial debut of anyone I can think of, because you've been around it for so long and seen it, and probably seen things you don't want to do as well as things you do want to do.
Absolutely. Right? I've been around production my entire career. I've been on the set every day for every movie that I've written, and again, as a showrunner in television, you're up to your neck in it. That said, there was a lot I wasn't prepared for. For instance, 25 years as a professional writer, I'd managed to absorb none of the science of filmmaking at all. And cinematography is sort of the intersection of art and science in the filmmaking process. So that's why a DP like Charlotte Christensen was necessary, who she's a magnificent shooter. Her work on Girl on the Train. So I was able to tell her what I was thinking, and she was able to say, okay, we want to put a 60 on and
make it happen.
Yeah.
Where you don't have to worry about that technical part of it.
No, when we would huddle up with the camera department, and she would say, I think we should use a 60, I'd say, you know, 60, 61, whatever it takes.
What you've always worked with, obviously, is script, and the words and all of that starts the process here. I'm curious as to how you found the post-production, the editing process of directing your first film and then going into editing, because this movie is stunningly edited. It just has a superb look to it and everything, and the way you told the story, and I'm wondering if you changed it once you were in the editing room, where you suddenly were the director and you could do that, or?
Well, first I want to agree with you that it's stunningly edited, and all credit goes to Alan Elliott, Josh, who got it right away, and you know, it was almost like a relay race of handing them the baton and, you know, let us show you how fast we can run with this. They were magnificently creative. There's nothing like going into the editing room in the morning and having someone say, listen, I know we didn't talk about this, and this may seem crazy, but I tried something late last night. Let me show it to you. Sometimes it is crazy. sometimes it elevates the entire movie. And that's why I say that those guys were co-authors. I loved the post-production process. You can, say just shave 2 frames off of that so that we get to that line faster and everything changes. Obviously, I'll sit there and play with choices of performances. I'll have circled that, Jessica's third take was the best. But now it's 5 months later, and I'm thinking, the 7th take was the best, and I'll come in the next day and kind of look at the 6th again. You'll do that for a while until, listen, you don't finish a movie, it just gets confiscated. Someone comes along and says, pencils down, it's time, to put this on a screen. You have to be done now.
And even when you release a movie, a lot of directors don't finish it. That's why we get new versions of them down the line now, too.
I've never written anything that I wouldn't like to get back and write again. My first play was A Few Good Men. I still haven't stopped writing that. Every once in a while, there'll be a new major production of it on the West End or something, and I'll say, you know what, I'm just a better writer now than I was when I was 26 and writing A Few Good Men. I'm going to take another crack at it. So there are still different productions of iterations of A Few Good Men.
You're actually going to take another crack at A Few Good Men.
Yeah, I am going to take another crack at A Few. We're going to do live television. I had been saying for years to anyone who would listen, let's return television to its roots. Let's do live plays on television. Bring great plays, great actors into the living rooms of people who may not necessarily be able to get to New York that often to see the best theater in the country. Live theater, it'll be an event. It'll be just like Playhouse 90. I didn't think we'd be starting with my play. I didn't think I'd be the canary in the coal mine. But Bob Greenblatt at NBC said, all right. You're up. Here we go. Wow. Yeah, so we're going to do A Few Good Men live on TV next season, and I'm looking forward to that. Even though there is no one alive anymore who has done it. Once Sidney Lumet died, that was it. So we're all going to figure out how to do this together.
You waited, obviously, as I said, a long time to do Molly's Game, and this is very special material. I mean, this is something I think you said, I've got to take this leap with this particular project.
Yes, and that's right. It became very special material almost the instant I met Molly Bloom. I was asked by a lawyer acquaintance to read the book. He was representing the book and its author, Molly, and the book is a very fun ride. It's terrific. It wasn't until I met Molly that I realized that the book is the very tip of the iceberg, that she wrote a good story that left breadcrumbs to a better one. And I wanted to do this, and if I was ever going to take the leap, it was going to be now, because I really had a very specific tone in my head, and I just wanted to see it all the way through. The process of having a vague idea and having that vague idea become a little more specific, and then getting it down on paper as a screenplay, and then getting that up on the screen. It's like carrying water in your hands from one side of the room to the other. By the time you get to the other side of the room, the water's just not going to be there anymore. Yeah. But sometimes, if you do it just right, you actually can. And I badly wanted to do that with Molly's Game.
I'm Molly Bloom. Do you know about me?
I read your indictment after I got your call last night, and I bought your book.
Do you understand that you are charged with operating an illegal gambling business?
Are you taking me on as a client?
I don't think I can convince my partners to take a flyer on the Poker Princess.
If you think a princess can do what I did, you're incorrect. I'm getting that you don't think much of me, but what if every single one of your ill-informed, unsophisticated opinions about me were wrong?
I'd be amazed.
I feel like the movie or don't like the movie, this was the movie that I wanted to make when I first started thinking about it. It's very uncommon.
That is very uncommon.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you say, people always you want to change A Few Good Men, you want to do this. This is something that you put on the screen, and that's what you wanted.
It is. And by the way, those times when it's something different than you would originally imagined, it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Right.
William Golden talks about this in Adventures in the Screen Trade, which is a fantastic book. Even if you're not in our business, it's a great book. It's a page turner. He said, okay, you have an idea, and your idea is, I'm going to go from point A due north, okay? But as you're going along, you start to go east just a little bit. Now you're north by northeast, and eventually you went east, is all you did. It doesn't matter. The fact that you traveled from one point to another, that's a story, okay? And the next time you'll try going north again, you've still got that idea. So I don't mind when things change a little bit. I mind, you don't want them to change enormously, and I don't think I've had the experience where it has. But in this case, and I guess the reason I'm so pleased is because I wasn't able to describe it at the beginning. I didn't have a one-line pitch for this movie. It's not a poker movie. Right. I'm not sure what to call it. I just know that when I was thinking about the movie, it made me feel all the things I like to be feeling when I'm writing. It put a lump in my throat. It gave me goosebumps. There was that sense of idealism and romanticism, and all of it ended up on the screen.
And you had Kevin Costner, who won an Oscar for directing his first movie.
Yes.
Was that intimidating at all?
It was incredibly intimidating. Costner is a hero of mine as an actor and as a director. So to have Kevin on the set at all, I mean, to be directing an Academy Award-winning director, but Kevin made sure it wasn't, or at least did everything he could to make sure that it wasn't intimidating. He was so generous, so supportive. Every once in a while, he'd whisper an idea to me for a camera move. He'd say, listen, you're tracking me coming through the crowd over here. If you want, you can just hand off to those two commentators up there, because I know you're going to be cutting there anyway. And I'd say, great, that's exactly what we're going to do. And I'd just start telling people, hey, Kevin had a really good idea. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. A couple of hours later, he'd take me aside and say, you don't have to credit me with the idea. It's your movie, man. I'm just, every few days he texts me to say what's going on, to warn me about things that are coming. I told you. He'll say, okay, this Pete Hammond interview that you're going to do, Pete's going to ask you about this, and he's incredibly supportive.
Wow.
He, on his first movie, he had to worry about what direction 5,000 Buffalo were going to run when he called action. I just found out that movie they made that movie for $22 million, Dances with Wolves.
Amazing.
How's that possible?
Yeah, it's like not the look of that movie. I don't know what he did, but
that looks like a $100 million movie, right?
Yeah, and not CGI either. So
no CGI, or at least not a lot of it. Yeah. Everyone is speaking a language that no one has spoken in a century, right? So to take that on as your first movie, that's confidence.
Makes this look like a piece of cake, huh?
Exactly.
Well, it wasn't, and you made it look easy too. Well, congratulations on.
Thanks so much, Pete. I'm so proud of it, and thanks very much for your kind words.
Thanks for coming out on Behind the Lens.